During the wedding, my husband Marcus's childhood female friend sent him a text message. "Wishing you happiness, and goodbye, my boy." The accompanying picture showed a bloody wrist and a blood-stained utility knife. My husband told me, "She has depression. If I don't go, she'll die." I smiled and said, "Fine." Then I took off the wedding ring he had just placed on my finger and threw it into the trash can. This wasn't the first time Stella had attempted suicide. Marcus said she had depression and a severe suicidal tendency. At first, I felt a lot of sympathy for her. Stella's husband was abusive, and she hadn't divorced him for Leo's sake. Every time I saw her, she had bruises of all sizes on her body. I had urged her more than once, call the police, or take Leo and leave him, but would always shake her head tearfully. I can't let Leo grow up without a father. At that time, I genuinely wanted to help her. What I didn't expect was that while she wanted a father for Leo, that father didn't necessarily have to be his biological father. It could also be Leo's surrogate father, my husband, Marcus. When we went to register our marriage, the staff were already reviewing our identification documents. Stella took sleeping pills and sent a scheduled text message to Marcus, instructing him to come and handle her affairs. Marcus said to me, "We grew up together. We can get our marriage license anytime. I have to go save her now." I couldn't argue with that. After all, a life was at stake, and she truly was his childhood friend. The second time was on New Year's Eve. Marcus had accompanied me to my parents' house to celebrate the new. Our family was gathered, warmly watching the New Year's Eve countdown special, when he received a call from the police. I watched his expression shift from tender to horrified. Then, he simply abandoned my parents and me, bolted out the door, so panicked that he forgot to put on his shoes, running barefoot into the heavy snowfall. My parents comforted him. Marcus is young and accomplished. He must have encountered an urgent work matter. Don't blame him. Aren't your dad and I here to stay up with you to ring in the new? Lying in my mother's warm embrace, I already had a strong suspicion. 2 hours later, my suspicions were confirmed. I scrolled through the news on my phone and let out a bitter laugh. Sure enough, Stella had attempted suicide again. This time, she had climbed the tallest skyscraper in Willow and was standing on the roof. Every year for the news countdown, the government would set off fireworks downtown Creek, and citizens would gather to count down to the arrival of the new year. And that skyscraper was located downtown Creek. In the news video, many citizens had filmed Stella, dressed in a white nightgown, standing on the edge of the roof. Hundreds of police officers had arrived. Some were below, busy inflating an inflatable jump bag, while SWAT team members climbed up the building. Several female officers had already reached the roof, seemingly trying to gently persuade her not to take any drastic action and to tell them if she had any requests. The voiceover in the video belonged to a young girl. As she filmed, she said, "I feel like she's very lonely. No one is with her for the New Year's Eve celebration." Just then, the crowd began to stir. Many people were excitedly shouting. Someone went up. "It looks like a man. She's coming down. Great. She's coming down. Ah, they're hugging. And kissing." I turned off my phone. Guessing was one thing, but seeing it with my own eyes was another. Especially since the girl's phone camera quality was really good, clearly capturing the scene of Marcus and Stella embracing. He held Stella tightly, as if she were the most beautiful yet fragile treasure in the world. And when Stella tilted her head to kiss him, Marcus didn't refuse. His hand was tangled in Stella's long, black, cascading hair, pressing the back of her head as he leaned in and passionately kissed at her. Although my phone was off, my ears still seemed to ring with the surprised screams from the crowd. Millions of people across the city witnessed their love, shedding tears, cheering, and being moved by their connection. And I, his legitimate wife, was destined to remain an outsider. When returned, it was already Newsday morning. I was with my parents, preparing a holiday breakfast. My parents had gone to bed early last night, missing that romantic rooftop scene, so they were still very concerned about him. "Marcus, are you done with work matters?" Marcus glanced at me, assuming I had covered for him and lied to his parents. Marcus said, "Yes, I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, I couldn't stay up to ring in the new with you." William, quickly waved his hand, "Don't worry about it. Young people should prioritize work, but you also need to take care of your health. No matter how urgent the matter, you should have put on your shoes and warm clothes before rushing out." Margaret, had already run a hot bath in the bathroom. "Marcus, you must have frozen last night, didn't you? Go take a hot bath to warm up. I'll go make you a bowl of hot herbal tea to take away the chill." William said, "Breakfast is almost ready. Go take your shower. When you come out, you can have a steaming hot breakfast." I was an only child, and my parents were so good to Marcus entirely for my sake. They always believed that if they were nicer to Marcus, he would, in turn, be nicer to me. Watching my parents' busy figures, a pang of sorrow hit me. What if my parents had seen that scene last night while scrolling through their phones? How heartbroken would they be? Why on earth did I choose such a person in the first place? Now, not only was I stuck in this mire, but I had dragged my parents down with me. Marcus sat beside me and quietly asked, "Did you sleep well last night?" I replied blandly, "Just fine." Stella's husband took Leo, and she felt lonely celebrating New Eve alone, so our depression flared up again. I sneered, "Are you a doctor? Can you cure her depression?" Marcus was somewhat annoyed. "She and I are best friends. Shouldn't I have gone to save her? Then let me ask you, do best friends need to kiss to save each other?" Marcus's expression instantly changed. She was having an episode then, not in her right mind. If I had refused her, her condition would have worsened. What if she'd done something extreme? The police downstairs had set up an inflatable jump bag, and there were SWAT officers rigging safety equipment. Several female officers were also on the roof, comforting her. Even if she wanted to jump, the female officers would have held her, the SWAT team would have protected her, and even if she somehow fell, there was an inflatable jump bag. "Did you have to kiss her?" Marcus exploded, pointing at my nose. "You just said what if. What if the female officers didn't hold her back, and the SWAT team didn't get there in time? From that height, even an inflatable jump bag couldn't guarantee her absolute safety. Did you want me to just stand there and watch her die in front of me? But you were already holding her." I cried out. "You're a grown man, you could have held her, dragged her back to safety. All those female officers were there too. Together, everyone could have saved her." Marcus looked at me with an unfamiliar gaze. "Grace, how could you become so cold and selfish?" I laughed. "I'm cold and selfish?" Marcus stood up. "A meaningless kiss versus a human life. Think about which is more important." He left. He slammed the door shut. The entire house vibrated from the impact. William, who was cooking breakfast in the kitchen, was startled. He quickly came out and asked, "Was that an earthquake? Or did someone set off loud fireworks downstairs? That's quite a bang." Margaret, who had gotten herself splashed while adjusting the bathwater temperature for Marcus, stood there, looking a bit flustered. She fully asked me, "Grace, what's wrong between you and Marcus?" I turned my face away, wiping the tears from my cheeks. "It's nothing, Mom." William came over and gently ruffled my hair. "Don't cry. Dad's here. I'll call Marcus and ask him what happened, okay?" "Dad, there's no need." Margaret soothed me, "Let your dad ask. Only if you two are happy can your mom and dad truly feel at ease." William, fearing I'd be upset, went out onto the balcony to make the call. But several consecutive calls were hung up. Finally, he was blocked. The calls wouldn't even go through. William immediately started changing his clothes to go out. "I'll go find Marcus myself." Margaret quietly instructed him, "If it really is Grace's fault, say a few soft words to Marcus and apologize to him. Grace likes him so much. There's nothing wrong with us parents humbling ourselves for our daughter's sake." William nodded slightly. "Don't worry, I know. Can't I see how much our daughter cares for him? We only have one daughter, I'll do anything for her." My tears immediately began to flow freely. I don't know what William said to him when he went to find him, but after that incident, Marcus proposed to me. At the wedding, the MC was excellent at setting the mood. He asked Marcus, "Who handles the finances after marriage?" Marcus replied, "My wife." The MC then asked, "Who does the housework after marriage?" Marcus said, "I do." He continued, "If your best friend and your wife both fell into water, who would you save first?" This question had actually been rehearsed before the wedding. According to the plan, Marcus was supposed to say, "My wife, of course." Then his friends would burst into laughter, teasing him for prioritizing his love life over his friends, and the guests would feel his deep affection for me. It was meant to be a humorous question, designed to lighten the mood, but suddenly hesitated, remaining silent for a long time. He seemed to be think of that person. The MC urged him, "Groom, it's your turn to answer the question." Marcus held the microphone, still unable to respond, until his best man, completely flustered, handed him his phone. "Marcus, it's bad. Stella is having another episode." At that moment, I was wearing a pristine white wedding dress, still holding Marcus's arm. I clearly saw the text message Stella had sent on his phone. A huge gash was carved into her left wrist, flesh exposed, blood gushing out. Marcus didn't hesitate for another second. He violently threw my hand away and sprinted out of the wedding hall. I was knocked hard to the ground by him. My large gown and high heels made it difficult to get up, and I slumped awkwardly on the floor. The entire venue erupted in an uproar. My best friend, who was also my bridesmaid today, tightly squeezed my hand. "Grace, wait here, I'll go get him back." I pulled her back. "There's no need." Was I surprised? Actually, I wasn't surprised at all anymore. Marcus and I had been dating for 5 years, and during that time, there were countless moments when he suddenly abandoned me because of Stella. The MC's question earlier had been pointless. He didn't even need to fall into water. No matter the circumstances, his first choice would always be Stella. Even at our wedding, the MC was also at a loss. The groom had run off from the wedding. In all his years in the business, he probably hadn't seen such a scene before. With the help of a few of my best friends, I stood up. Then, in front of all the guests, I took off the wedding ring Marcus had just put on my finger and threw it with all my might. The MC was dumbfounded. "Bride, what's wrong?" "My apologies. I will settle today's fees in full. Thank you for your trouble." I reached behind my back and unzipped my wedding dress. My best friend, fearing I would expose myself, quickly grabbed the dress. "Grace, what are you doing? Are you crazy?" I smiled. "Don't worry, I'm not crazy. I've just had a revelation." I pushed her hand away and took off the wedding dress. Underneath, I was wearing a form-fitting set of athletic wear. Over the past 5 years, I had figured out Stella's pattern. Every time Marcus and I had an important date, she would pull a stunt like this. So today, I came prepared. Everyone present stared at me, dumbfounded, as I stood there in my athletic wear. I smiled, took the microphone from the MC, and calmly and collectedly stated, "Everyone, I apologize, but I won't be going through with this wedding. Since you're all friends and family, please consider this a gathering, enjoy the food and drinks." With that, I handed the microphone back to the MC and walked off the main stage, head held high. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my parents walking towards me, and my best friend followed me down. Suddenly, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. So many people loved me. Why should I be a pawn in the game of 2 rotten people like Marcus and Stella, who couldn't tell the difference between friendship and boundaries? The best man ran after me and blocked my path. "Grace, don't be angry. Marcus and Stella have been friends since childhood. If he's threatening suicide, it's only right that he goes to check on her." I smiled. "You're sure knows how to pick her moments to attempt suicide." The best man looked displeased. "Grace, that's not fair of you. Stella has depression, you should be more understanding." "I can't be understanding. Tell to find a wife who can be." I walked around him and continued, "Oh." The best man yelled after me, "Grace, do you think you can shake the bond between Marcus and Stella? They've known each other for over 20 years, you've only known Marcus for a few. If you leave now, Marcus will never look back." I acted as if I hadn't heard him and kept walking. "Oh." The best man continued, "Even if your dad got on his knees and pleaded with Marcus this time, Marcus wouldn't compromise himself to marry a cold-hearted, ruthless woman like you." Slap. My best friend, the bridesmaid, immediately raised her hand and slapped him. "My is not for a nobody like you to judge. Shut your filthy mouth. Just because you're dressed to impress doesn't mean you're hot stuff. Say one more word, and I'll rip your mouth apart." Not satisfied, she then kicked the best man, right between his legs. The power of high heels was no joke. The best man immediately clutched his groin, fell to the ground, and writhed, screaming in pain. My best friend came over and pulled my hand. "Grace, let's go." A few of Marcus's relatives tried to rush forward to retaliate against my best friend. "You hit someone and you think you can just leave? Hags, stop right there." But Dad, William, grabbed a bottle of fine liquor and smashed it directly at their feet. My usually gentle and kind father now stood before me like a mountain, declaring forcefully, Marcus was the one who failed my daughter first, leaving her alone to face all this gossip and rumor. Let me be clear right now. From this moment on, my daughter has no connection whatsoever to Marcus. Anyone who dares to lay a finger on my daughter will suffer the consequences for the rest of their lives. Mom came over, hugged me, and gently said, "Grace, someone who isn't worth it isn't worth keeping. Mom will take you home." William, found me the best lawyer. At this point, I didn't want to see Marcus again, let alone discuss a divorce with him. As far as I was concerned, we would proceed with litigation and file for divorce. William, a professor at Liberty School, contacted his star student, Alexander, who was now a renowned lawyer in the country. Alexander was 3 years my senior in college. When I just started my freshman year, he had already gone to study overseas on a scholarship. I only knew from scattered remarks from my William that he was the most outstanding student in his nearly 30 years of teaching, but beyond that, I didn't know much about him. I met him at a coffee shop across from my apartment building. He was wearing a black suit and gold-rimmed glasses, looking distinguished and elite. I quickly stood up and extended my hand. "Hello, Mr. Alexander, I'm Grace." Alexander reached out, gently shook my hand, very gentlemanly, a brief touch and release. "Hello, junior fellow student." I hadn't expected him to know me. I waved for a server and then asked him, "What would you like to drink, Mr. Alexander?" Alexander, however, said, "Warm water is fine." I paused, hesitating whether ordering only warm water at a coffee shop might get us kicked out, but since I was the one seeking his help, I could only defer to his preference. However, I ordered an iced Americano for myself. Alexander, however, pushed up his glasses and said with a smile, "It's not very good for young women to drink cold beverages." I had a sensitive stomach, but I also didn't like overly sweet things. I always drank my iced Americano black. I said, "If an Americano is made hot, it's a culinary disaster." Alexander chuckled, raised a hand, and instructed the server, "Please bring this lady a hot milk, no sugar." "Certainly, sir." Feeling a bit at a loss, I could only politely say, "Thank you, Mr. Alexander." Alexander said, "I'm your father's student. You can also call me Alex." "Okay, Alex." Alexander curved his lips in satisfaction, then got straight to the point. "Junior fellow student, before we officially begin, I need to confirm something with you. Tell me, Alex, do you still love Marcus?" I shook my head with almost no hesitation. "No." "Are you sure?" I nodded emphatically. "I've never been more certain." "Good." Alexander took a stack of photos from his briefcase and handed them to me. I flipped through them. Weren't these pictures of Stella's alleged suicide attempts over the years? There were empty sleeping pill bottles, a white silk ribbon tied to a chandelier, a large box of burning charcoal with tape nearby. And, of course, the most recent picture of the deep cut on her left wrist. I felt a bit puzzled. "Alex, why are you showing me these?" I found the original images of all these pictures on the internet. My mind went blank. Original images. Which meant these pictures were just downloaded from the internet by her? Alexander nodded. "Yes. So she never actually attempted suicide?" Alexander tapped the last photo, the one of the cut wrist. "Look at this one. The cut is on the left wrist, which means it should have been made with the right hand." I nodded. "That's right. What's the problem?" "Problem is, Stella is left-handed. Her right hand couldn't have made such a precise cut on her wrist." I suddenly felt that the world was utterly absurd. The next time I saw Marcus was in the courthouse mediation room. Stella accompanied him, and she brought Leo. He was a boy about 4 years old, nestled in Marcus's arms. My best friend, Sarah, who came with me, was also surprised when she saw the boy. "Is really not Marcus's?" In fact, it wasn't just Sarah. Everyone present had the same initial reaction upon seeing Leo. He looked so much like Marcus. Stella immediately looked on the verge of tears. "Miss, you shouldn't just make baseless accusations. You can't slander me like that. Marcus and I are completely innocent. We're just best friends. There's no romantic involvement whatsoever." "Marcus," displeased, scolded, "Sarah, watch your mouth." Of course, I couldn't tolerate my best friend being insulted by a scumbag. I immediately retorted, "Mr. Chen." Sarah merely raised a question. "You could have simply denied it. Why such a strong reaction? Are you feeling guilty?" Marcus slammed his hand on the table. "Grace, what the hell is wrong with you? So what if I went to see Stella first at the wedding? Do you really have to make such a huge scene? Do you insist on airing our dirty laundry?" "Of course," I said, straightening my back. "I want everyone to see your ugly faces, yo. Yours and Stella's, hiding your scandalous affair under the guise of friendship. Grace, you. What, are you going to hit me now? Go ahead, try to lay a hand on me in front of the judge." Stella quickly pulled Marcus back. "Forget it. Ms. He is angry. Anyway, your wedding didn't happen because of me." "Marcus, I'm so sorry. It's my fault you're getting divorced. Boo-hoo-hoo." She started crying again. Marcus, feeling pity, instinctively reached out and put his arm around her shoulder. "Don't cry. She wouldn't dare actually divorce me. Last time, her dad got on his knees and pleaded with me to marry her. This time, she can forget it." I froze. My, William, a man over 50, an authority in the national legal and political circles, professor, with countless students, he actually got on his knees and pleaded with Marcus? Marcus looked at my expression and chuckled smugly. Didn't your dad tell you? I wanted to break up with you then, but your dad waited outside my house for a day and a night, then got on his knees and pleaded with me 3 times, earnestly begging me to marry you. I only reluctantly agreed out of respect for an elder who froze outside all night. Otherwise, do you really think I would have gone through with any wedding with you? Before I could speak, a loud crash erupted next to me. I looked over to see that Alexander had crushed the glass in front of him with his bare hand. A pile of shattered glass shards lay scattered, and his hand was bleeding profusely. I quickly pulled tissues from my bag to press against his bleeding hand and told the judge, "Excuse me, may I take my lawyer to get his injury treated first?" Alexander, however, said, "There's no need. It's not too late to conclude this matter as quickly as possible." At this point, Leo, in Marcus's arms, burst into terrified sobs, clinging to Marcus's neck. "Daddy, they're so scary. Why are they bullying Mommy?" Marcus's heart ached, but he didn't forget to correct him. "Sweetie, I'm your surrogate. Father, not your daddy." Leo, however, shook his head, but said, "You are my real daddy." That single sentence exploded like a clap of thunder. Stella clearly panicked, scrambling to cover Leo's mouth, but accidentally knocked over the teacup in front of her, spilling hot tea everywhere. "No, sweetie, why are you talking nonsense? When did Mommy ever say that?" Leo looked at his mother, puzzled, tilting his head. "You told me yourself, Mommy. You said Daddy was entangled by a bad woman, but you'd find a way to get Daddy back for me. You also said that once Daddy broke up with the bad woman, our family of 3 would have a good life, and you even said you'd have a cute little sister for me with Daddy." Marcus was dumbfounded. Stella's face immediately turned deathly pale. She raised her hand and slapped Leo. "What nonsense are you spouting? Did that shameless biological father of yours teach you to say that? Fine. I raised you, sacrificing everything, and now you're turning against me, conspiring with him, aren't you?" As she spoke, she was about to hit him again. Marcus shielded Leo, and at the same time, seemed to truly realize something, looking suspiciously at Stella. "Stella, what exactly is going on here?" Stella bit her lip and cried, "Leo is just like his biological father, full of lies. Don't believe him." But at that moment, Leo dropped an even bigger bombshell. "Mommy, why are you lying? You said liars get long noses. Daddy, save me." Leo kept burying himself deeper into Marcus's arms, seemingly terrified of Stella. Marcus held Leo close and asked him, "Has your biological father tried to contact you recently? Did he teach you anything to say?" Leo looked utterly bewildered. He honestly shook his head. "Daddy, what are you talking about? I don't have another daddy, I only have you." Marcus continued, "You've never met your biological father? I've only ever seen you. Then what about the bruises on your mommy?" Leo thought for a moment and said, "Addie, are you talking about the makeup Mommy puts on her body? Mommy said that using purplish blue powder on her skin is a very popular makeup trend right now, and that Daddy particularly likes her to wear this kind of makeup, so she draws lots and lots of them on herself every time she goes to see you." Children speak without inhibitions. At this point, the truth was laid bare, no further explanation was needed. Stella reached out to pull Marcus's sleeve. "Marcus, listen to me." Marcus still held a hint of pity for her. He calmly asked, "Stella, what's really going on with your depression? Allow me to answer that question." Alexander stood up and placed a stack of documents in front of the judge. Here is some evidence I've collected regarding Ms. Stella giving a cash gift to Dr. David, a psychiatrist at Metro Hospital, to illegally obtain a depression diagnosis. This includes Dr. David's personal confession, fingerprint analysis results from the cash gift wrapper, and partial screenshots from the hospital's surveillance cameras. The judge nodded and was about to look through them when Marcus snatched the evidence away. He flipped through them, page after page, his disbelief growing with each one. Finally, he slammed the entire stack of papers onto Stella, asking furiously, "Is this true?" Stella tried to argue illogically, "Even with these things, it doesn't prove I don't have depression. I felt very anxious and bothered during that period. Aren't those symptoms of depression?" Alexander said, "Ms. Stella, let me enlighten you. Depression is a mental illness that can cause damage to the brain and produce a series of physical symptoms. Anxiety and irritation alone do not necessarily mean depression. A definitive diagnosis of depression requires a series of examinations and tests by a professional doctor before it can be confirmed. I have physical symptoms. I often feel palpitations, dizziness. Then why didn't you go to a reputable hospital for A proper examination instead of giving the doctor a cash gift to get a fake diagnosis? Stella was stumped and stammered, "I." Furthermore, Alexander said, taking out the pictures, "I found the original images online for the series of suicide pictures you posted on your social media, X, formerly Twitter, and your class group chat. The original images are all here, almost all of them taken from the Instagram account of an overseas depression patient." At this point, Stella could no longer defend herself. She cried and threw herself into Marcus's arms, pleading, "Marcus, I did all of this because I like you. I didn't want to see you with another woman. I just became obsessed because I love you." For the first time, Marcus didn't respond to her. He remained silent, his brow tightly furrowed, sitting motionless like a statue. Not until Alexander pushed the divorce agreement in front of him. "Mr. Chen, this divorce agreement was drafted by me, and it outlines the division of joint assets between you and Ms. Grace. According to Ms. Grace, you two didn't accumulate any significant assets after marriage, and she doesn't want your salary. You should know her family, she doesn't need your money. As for your marital home, it was purchased with funds from Ms. Grace's parents and is her premarital property. You have no right to a share of that. Please review it. If you have no objections, sign here." Marcus finally looked up. I saw that his eyes were red. He called my name, Grace. I corrected him, "Mr. Chen, after today, we'll be divorced and strangers. Please address me politely as Ms. He." Marcus stood up, reaching for my hand. Alexander, quick as a flash, stepped directly in front of me and smacked Marcus's hand away with his folder. "Mr. Chen, please show some self-respect." Marcus frantically exclaimed, "Grace and I aren't divorced yet. I'm her husband. What's wrong with holding her hand? You're just a lawyer. What right do you have to stop me from touching my wife?" Alexander chuckled, casually adjusting his glasses. "You're right, not yet divorced. But it will be soon. I won't divorce Grace. Grace loves me." "That was in the past," I said coldly. "I was blind then, Marcus. From today forward, I will no longer love you. We are cutting all ties and will never cross paths again." "Grace, don't say things you don't mean. I know the truth now, I know everything. I apologize. I'll do anything you want. I'll do the housework, you manage the money, and no matter who falls into the water with you, I'll save you first." I coldly watched his current fawning demeanor, feeling utterly foolish for ever being infatuated with him. My home doesn't need a housekeeper. And besides, I can swim, I don't need you to save me. I turned to leave, telling Alexander before I went, "Alex, I'll leave the divorce proceedings to you. I don't want to see this man again." Alexander chuckled. "Okay, don't worry, I'll take care of it for you. I'm sorry. You were supposed to have a stable job overseas, and it was my situation that called you back to the country. I've really troubled you." "No trouble at all," Alexander said with a smile. "You don't know, I've been waiting for this day for 5 years. For the next 6 months, I indeed didn't see Marcus again. The next time I heard about him was when I was catching up over coffee with Sarah. Sarah excitedly told me, Marcus and Stella got married, did you know?" I took a sip of the hot milk in front of me. "That's great. You probably don't know how they got married, do you?" Sarah had a belly full of gossip, and she spilled all the juicy details to me. "After you divorced Marcus, he wanted to come back to you, but Stella clung to him so tightly he couldn't get away. She started self-harming, covering herself in cuts. Do you know what happened next? Stella probably hates her own cursed mouth now. She actually developed depression. This time it's not fake. I asked a contact at the hospital, and she's been examined and confirmed to have severe depression. She really started using suicide to threaten Marcus, saying if he didn't marry her, she would die." I poked at the fruit on my plate with my fork, nonchalantly saying, "Well, she still hasn't died, has she? You have no idea, just last month, she poisoned Marcus's entire family. Marcus, his parents, and Stella herself, were all rushed to the hospital to get their stomachs pumped. The first thing she said when she woke up was that if Marcus didn't marry her, she would take his whole family with her to their deaths." Hearing this, I couldn't help but let out a cynical laugh. "And the result?" Sarah continued, "Marcus's dad seems to have suffered brain damage. He now has slurred speech, a distorted eye, and is partially paralyzed. His symptoms are the most severe. She's in a vegetative state. Marcus is now working food delivery by day, driving for a ride-sharing service by night, and taking on construction jobs in his free time, earning money like his life depends on it. Otherwise, he simply can't afford his parents' medical expenses. You wouldn't believe it, I saw him once last week. He's so thin and dark, he looked completely wasted. When he saw me, he kept his head down, afraid I'd recognize him, and then he slunk away. I asked, "What about Stella?" "Her? Haha, she's fine. She had her stomach pumped and bounced back completely. But her son, Leo, suffered. He was poisoned by his own mother at such a young age." I was startled. "Leo was poisoned to death?" Sarah shook her head. "It didn't kill her, but it did cause nerve damage, making her reactions incredibly slow. She was then hit by a truck and died." I couldn't help but let out a sympathetic sigh. That child certainly had a tough life, saddled with such an unhinged mother. Sarah nudged my elbow. "What about you? You've completely moved on, your parents are wealthy, and you have your own career. Haven't you thought about finding someone new?" I waved my hand. "I just climbed out of one hellhole. Do you really think I'd jump right back into another?" Sarah shook her head, clucking her tongue. "Poor. 5 years of secret admiration, half a year of open courtship, and it all came to nothing. I really feel bad for him." I intentionally teased her. "If you feel so bad for him, why don't you marry him yourself?" Sarah threw her hands up. "He doesn't even like me. I'm certainly not going to be the next Stella. You can't force love, you really can't." No sooner had she spoken than a black Bentley pulled up in front of us. Sarah gave me a suggestive wink. "Your knight is here to pick you up." Alexander liked to wear black suits. And his car, his shoes, his phone, everything he owned was black. Over time, Sarah had given him the nickname Dark. Alexander held 2 boba teas in his hand. He handed one to Sarah. "Miss, here's yours, taro boba tea, half sugar, no coconut jelly." Sarah playfully teased him. "Oh, Alexander, you even remember my order." Alexander chuckled softly. "Of course. If there's anything else I can help with, feel free to ask me anytime." All right, you've definitely got the future sister-in-law's stamp of approval." Alexander smiled, placing the other boba tea in front of me. "Yours, hot milk, no sugar." I took the milk and stood up, asking him, "Didn't you say you had a court hearing today? I could have just taken a taxi back myself." Alexander had already reached out to take my bag and coat, following close behind me, and opening the passenger door for me. "I wasn't comfortable leaving you." Holding the hot milk, I got in and waved goodbye to Sarah. Sarah immediately made a heart gesture at me, signaling for me to hurry up and go, and stop showing off our affection. Alexander started the car, and as he slowly drove, he said to me, "Professor said he made your favorite pork ribs with lotus root slices tonight. He wants us to go back early." I caught the key word in his sentence. "Us?" Alexander cleared his throat twice, his cheeks slightly flushed, and said with a hint of awkwardness, "It's been 5.5 years. It's time you gave me a title." My face also flushed slightly. I turned my head away, looking out the window, not wanting him to see my embarrassment. Still holding the straw in my mouth, I mumbled vaguely, "Fine, I'll think about it." Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.